1.7 discusses exponents. Exponents. So how do those work? Well, let's describe the notation. It's actually kind of a convenience. So when you have something like this kind of expression, b is considered the base, and n is the exponent. Now what that means, it's kind of shorthand. Instead of multiplying something by itself a number of times, we can just write b to that power. So this is b times b times b, etc. A total of n times. So it's convenience. It's saving us doing a lot of writing. For instance, problem number 16 gives you something like this, and they ask you to write it with exponents. Now let me give you two possibilities here. And I think I actually accidentally added an extra 4 there, but that's all right. So let me give you two possibilities. This one or this one. So we'll call them A and B. Which one do you think is the correct answer? B. Good. I'm glad we're all on board with that one. B. This says something much different. This says 4 multiplied by itself 5 times with a negative out in front. Here you're multiplying negative 4 by itself 5 times. So that one's the correct answer. Another one kind of like that, problem number 18. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 7 times 7 times 7. So again, the goal is to write this using exponents. So Ethan, what would that look like if I wrote this using exponents? Good. 5 to the power 6 times 7 to the power 3. Just counting up the number of terms that we have there. Thank you, sir. Moving on. Problem number 28. This time we're undoing things. We're writing it without the exponents and then trying to simplify it from there. So without the exponents, this would be negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. Even before I expand it like that, can you tell if this is going to be positive or negative? Good. It's negative because the exponent is odd. Perfect. So negative 5 times 5 is 25. In fact, 5 cubed is on the left-hand side board. I've listed for you the first 20 perfect squares and first 10 perfect cubes. So that's 125. All right, so going back to a little bit of something that we went over in the last section. They want you to compare problem 38, negative 9 squared and negative 9 squared. So write out both of those and then calculate it. What are you going to get? Andrew, want to give that one a shot? What's this one look like? For the first one? There we go. So negative 9 times negative 9 is 81. Here it's the negative of 9 times 9, or negative 81. Good, thank you. Let's try problem number 34. 3/4 cubed. Now this, at least part of it, isn't much different than problem number 28. You're cubing something. So to cube something, you have to multiply it by itself 3 times. Can I talk to you after class is over? Okay, so when you expand this out, it's 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. Do you need common denominators to multiply? No, we got them anyways, but you don't need it. You're just going to multiply 3 times 3 times 3, gives you 27. 4 times 4 is 16. 64. Yeah. That's all right. They're all powers of 2, so I understand. Okay, let's add a little bit to that. And that is, we're going to work with our order of operations. So, on the back of the handout the other day, gave you that primes handout. On the back of it should be this. So I've got like one extra. If somebody doesn't have one, Kendra, Kendra, sorry. Yeah. So your order of operations. A lot of people use an acronym to remember what to do first. And the acronym is this. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The trouble that people get into is not really understanding a little bit of the nuance of applying this. Now, the please is parentheses, excuse, exponents. My dear is multiplication and or division from left to right. From left to right. So as you move left to right, whatever you see first, that's what you do. Doesn't matter what's first. If it's division first, you do the division. If it's multiplication first, you do the multiplication. The problem with this little acronym, and I use it, everyone uses it, is understanding that it's not multiplication, then division. Just move left to right. Same thing with addition and subtraction. It's from left to right. I'm sorry that's not coming out a little bit clearer. It's from left to right. Let's take a look at that down here. So there's really kind of 4 steps. The first step is to do whatever's in the parentheses. So 10 minus 2 gives you an 8. Next step is doing the exponents. So there's one exponent, right? 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. 2 down. Then it's multiplication and division from left to right. Now, where people are going to get into trouble is they're going to say, oh, well, here's the multiplication. And then they're going to do that, and then they're going to go back and do the division. That's where you're going to get in trouble. You have to move left to right. And moving left to right, the first thing you see is this division right here. Right there. So we'll do that. So you're doing the division part here. Great. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Keep moving left to right. Next we see 3 times 6. So we'll do the multiplication. Now you're all the way done with the multiplication and division. That's your third step. Finally, addition and subtraction. And again, you're going to move left to right. So the first thing you see is a subtraction. Let's do that. And finally, last but not least, you get the addition.
Do you want us to write it out like that every time we do our homework?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. When you do your homework and when you write it on the test, I want to see some of your steps. I don't need the narration here. That's way too much. Look, I just want you to know and understand the flow of these things and be able to evaluate these expressions correctly. So, yeah, I don't need to see every single little step. I don't want to see every little single step. I can appreciate that you can do some of these things in your head. So, but one thing that I would ask, please don't just give me an answer. If you just give me an answer, that's where I'm going to draw the line and say, well, you know, I do want to see a little bit of work. On the top of all of your tests, you're always going to see something that says, show your work and circle your answers. It's because sometimes you can do the wrong thing and get the right answer. For instance, 64 divided by 16. Hey, look, I'll cancel the 6's, right? Woohoo! Yeah, that leaves me with 4 over 1. That's 4. Hey, I got the right answer. Yeah, you did, but that's not the way it works, all right? You can't cancel the 6's like that. Sorry. So that's part of why I want to see you write things out. But let's do a few problems here. Problem number 42. So 60 minus 20 divided by 10 plus 5. So there's 4 steps: parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. Well, are there any parentheses? No. Are there any exponents? No. So then move left to right. The first thing that you see is division. So do the division. What's getting divided by what? 20 divided by 10 is 2. And then continue to move left to right. First thing you see is the subtraction. 58 plus 5, 63. Okay. Let me give you another one. This was my own example. 36 divided by 2 times 3 plus 7. So I'm just going to see how you do on that one. I'm not going to narrate this one at all. I'll let you do this one. No, just do it yourself, and we'll see what we come up with. And what I want you to do is I want you to compare to a neighbor. and see how yours looks compared to your neighbor. All right, as a quick reminder, because there's a couple people that were here the other day, I take a really dim view of text messaging. Remember, you're getting 5 bonus points, 5 points of extra credit for not texting. I strongly suggest you keep your phones off your desk. That way I don't confuse you using your calculator, etc., or your phone as a calculator, etc. So every time anyone text messages, everyone loses a point. Don't do it, please. It's not even a 2-hour class. I think you can exist for 2 hours without text messaging. So just keep them away, please. All right. What kind of answers did you get on this one? Just shout them out.
61.
61. Yay. In unison. Well done. All right. So let's take a look at this one. I will tell you very bluntly, this is the kind of problem that I'm going to put on an exam. And the reason I do it is because it tests you whether or not you're doing multiplication first or division first. So I'm trying to see, do you understand the nuance of this step? Multiplication or division. Now it'll work out well both ways. But the way you're supposed to do it is to do the division first. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Then what? Then do your multiplication. Keep going left to right. 18 times 3 is 54. Plus 7 is 61. But if you made a mistake and you multiplied these together first, well, it still works out even numbers. You'd end up with 36 divided by 6 plus 7. 6 plus 7 is 13. But that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing it that way. You've got to move left to right. So that's what we're going to be tested on. Let me give you a couple more here. Again, this is one of my examples, and it's the kind of problems that I want you to solve. 10 cubed divided by 2 times 5 plus 10 squared divided by 2 squared. So let's start with some exponents here. 10 cubed, that's 10 times 10 times 10. Yeah, it's a 1 and then 1, 2, 3 zeros. Divided by 2 times 5 plus 10 squared is a 1 followed by 2 zeros. And 2 squared is 4. So, okay. Let's again be careful in moving left to right. So, in moving left to right, 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. Moving left to right, 500 times 5 is 25, and then 2 zeros, 2,500. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So overall, 25, 25. How many people got that one? Yay. All right, looking real good. So let me just give you a few more problems to finish up with, and we'll be on our way. Let's take a look at problem number 70. Six minus 5 cubed minus 1 over negative 9 times negative 3 minus 4. Now in doing these, we're going to have to simplify the numerator and denominator completely first. So I'll have to figure out what the numerator is, what the denominator is. Let's start in the numerator. Where should we start in the numerator? In the parentheses. So it's as if your order of operation just applies right here. So we'll start in the parentheses, and I'll get 1 cubed minus 1. What's 1 cubed minus 1 going to equal? Well, what's 1 cubed? It's 1. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So 1 cubed minus 1 gives you what? 0. Does it really matter what I have in the denominator? What do I get for a quotient? What do we get? Is this undefined, or is it something else? It's 0. Yeah. When you have something divided by, or something divided into 0, you're going to get 0. So who cares? Because it doesn't really matter what I have in the denominator. Now, if you're really interested, let's see. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 minus 4 is 23. But it really didn't matter if I had 23 or 23 million. 0 divided by 23 or 23 million is still 0. All right, so that one worked out kind of interesting. We didn't really need to work out the denominator because of how lucky we got with the numerator. That's not always going to be the case. For instance, problem number 74. (13 squared minus 5 squared over negative 3 times 5 minus 2 squared. Now, can anyone think of a way that we can save a little strain on the brain as we do the numerator? Yeah, there you go. Good job. Look at the board. 13 squared is already there for you. How nice. 169 minus 25. So let's focus on the denominator. Sydney, what's the denominator going to look like? What should I do first? All right, and in the parentheses, where should I start? Good. 5 minus 2 is, or actually 5 minus 2 squared is 5 minus 4. All right. Numerator gives me 144. How's the denominator going to clean up? Almost. Negative 3. So overall, when I divide this, am I going to get a positive or negative quotient? Negative. So negative, and 3 goes into 144 48 times. All right, problem number 114. Last one. Oh, please, yeah.
So let's say that I did it differently. Like I put 169 minus 25 and then put an actual division sign.
Oh,
Would that still work out?
sure. 144 divided by negative 3, like that? Yeah.
I mean, like before you got to that step,
Um,
169 minus 25 divided by negative 3, parentheses 5 minus 4.
oh, but using the division sign?
Yeah.
You'd have to be careful. I mean, if I wanted to write this with a division sign, I'd need to use parentheses. 169 minus 25 divided by negative 3 times 5 minus 4. Because if you were to write it without the division signs, this is a great question. This is going to give me a much different number. 169 minus 25 divided by negative 3 times 5 minus 4. And the reason it's going to give you a different number is because where you have to start. Where do you have to start this one as opposed to this one? Yeah, you have to start in the middle with this mess. 25 divided by negative 3. Ugh, that's going to give you a fraction. Ugh. That's bad news. So this one wouldn't work out so nice. You could write it like this, but like I say, you have to take care to use the parentheses. So it's a great question. Thanks, Ruben. Are you comfortable with the difference? You see that? All right, good. Like I said, last one, problem number 114. There's a part A and B. So part A looks like this. 8 plus 3 times negative 2 minus 6 plus 1. Now these square brackets are effectively the same as parentheses. And the reason we have those is because it just helps us line things up a little bit better to know that this one goes with this one. You can do the same thing with rounded parentheses. It's just a little bit harder to see sometimes. So that's your part A. Part B is similar. We've got 8 plus 3 times negative 2 minus 6 plus 1. So what's the difference in these? What's the difference between your part A and your part B? Does anyone notice it? Yeah, the parentheses around the 8 and 3. Here, it's going to be 3 times whatever this is. Here, it's going to be 11 times whatever this is. So it makes a big difference in terms of the final answer as to what you're going to get. Also changes up the way you work through this a little bit. Give that a shot. Okay. Jenna, where should I start out with part A? What should I do first? All right, 6 plus 1 gives me 7. And where are we going to continue? Yeah, so negative 2 minus 7. This is that case we practiced earlier. Subtraction, change it to an addition. Two numbers have the same sign, so that's negative 9. So 8 plus 3 times negative 9. What comes first? Am I going to do the addition first or the multiplication first? Multiplication. Multiplication always comes before addition and subtraction. So 8 plus negative 27 is negative 19. For part B, we're going to speed things up a little bit, but are you okay with part A? How many people got negative 19 for part A? All right, looking good. For part B, let's simplify things like this. We'll start out with the parentheses here and the parentheses here. So 11 times this quantity. We have to figure out what this is. Well, we just finished that anyways, so that's going to be 11 times negative 9. What's the product here? Negative 99. All right, that's a wrap. For homework, try 15 through 61, 67 through 71, 83 through 89, 111, 113. That's just the odds. Remember, your homework is telling you what the test is going to look like, because I'll be taking questions directly from the homework and putting them on the exam. Have a great weekend. See ya.